Welcome to CV Hustle, the podcast created to educate, inform, and inspire entrepreneurship here in our Coachella Valley.
So what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? I know that's a good question. Well, we're here to promote CV Hustle, our new podcast about entrepreneurship here in the Coachella Valley.
Can you believe we're here doing this?
I can't.
This
has been
cool,
a long time coming.
Yeah, you've been talking about it for a long time, and I'm excited that we're here today to do that and to see this come to fruition, because I think it's something that the Valley needs. I think we have a lot to offer. I hope, wink, wink, right? Yeah. What do you think? What do you think we're doing here, and why it's important?
So I think what we're trying to do is promote local entrepreneurship, and especially nowadays, I think the younger generations, kids under our age, they don't want to work a 9 to 5. They want to kind of go out and do their own thing. They see the potential of working for themselves. So, when we were coming up as locals in the Coachella Valley, we didn't have a ton of role models kind of showing us the ropes and telling us what to do. So that was kind of the inspiration behind this CV Hustle podcast. This is something that I think the community needs. It's a way for us to give back, right, as entrepreneurs.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's something that we need. I'm excited that I'm hoping that we can inspire young and old, right? You've got people that might be out there and they're looking to start a new business, or maybe they're stuck in a rut and they want to do something new, right? Here we are, and we can kind of push them and see if there's something that we can see. I'm already fucking losing it.
Edit it out.
Yeah, edit that out. But no, but I mean, I think we've always talked about being an entrepreneur. It's kind of in our blood. We love it. We thrive on it, right? And so we want to share those experiences and our expertise. If I don't know that I'm an expert, but I can tell my story, and I hope that it can inspire somebody to get going on their end.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, why should people listen to us? I don't think we've really touched on that. So I'm Robert Meraz, and this is.
I'm Fina and Robert Meraz.
And we're CV Hustle. And we own 3 businesses here locally in the Valley. We've been business owners for over 10 years now,
yeah,
right?
We started in, 2003?
Yeah.
No, that's when we met, 2013. Something about lucky number 3.
Yeah, Tile Designs by Fina was opened up in 2013. Sure. But before that, we even had a business that we weren't even aware about. When we moved, we rented out our first home because we didn't want to sell it, and we became landlords. So really our first business, without us even knowing about it, was Meraz Enterprises, which is our real estate holdings company now. That was really our first introduction, even though at the time it wasn't meant to be our first business. It really was. And then also in 2017,
Bobby used to proudly wear the badge Slumlords.
Oh, well, you got to make your money somehow. You ain't making no money if the rent's low. You got to make your money. So, but in 2017, this becomes our third business, right? And that's iPay Solutions, which is a payroll HR firm here in the Coachella Valley, and it's been, that's been quite a ride, right? We have Tile Designs by Fina, which is run by my wife for over 10 years.
Yeah.
iPay Solutions, which is now going into its 6th year of existence.
God, it's so crazy just when you first started and how hard it was to get you to start. But once you did, you were on a roll, and you've really grown this business, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see. Really, and here we are, going into a 4th business, right? Our podcast. And
well, this is a nonprofit, so we're not going to make no money off this.
Never know.
It's not designed for that, really. It is really for community service. It's something that we've always wanted to do. We've always wanted to kind of give back to our community. And as business owners, you see the younger generations coming up, going, hey, I want to do this, but I got no roadmap on how to do it. And so the reason we wanted to come in here and put this on, on film and on podcast version is because we want the word to spread, not just for, people, young people, but old people as well that have been thinking, hey, do I want to go out and do this? It's not, it's not something I'm real comfortable with. Well, if I can do it and she can do it, we're telling you that anybody can do it. If you're willing to grind it out, there's no secret sauce. It's hard work and talent. And you grind it out, you can be successful as an entrepreneur.
I think you could do it. It was really hard for me to do it. because I had no role models. You had a great role model. Your parents were great role models. Your dad was a dentist. You went to college. I didn't do any of that stuff. I didn't grow up in any kind of, my mom was a single mom, that kind of thing. But, I think it takes grit, determination, ambition, and a little bit of passion and a little bit of craziness to get it going.
Absolutely. Well, that's where you come in, is the craziness, right?
And I'm okay with that. I embrace the crazy, I'm okay with that.
She's the creative. I'm the accountant in the relationship, as if you don't know us.
An accountant with flair, though.
A little bit, I try and not look like an accountant or act like an accountant, but I'm an accountant by trade, But yeah, so I did have role models, but at the same time, if you remember our story, I was not the one that wanted to go out and do all this. I was the one that took the paper and we're like, okay, we got to make this much and we got to cover rent. And I put the pad of paper. And
you're the no. I remember, this is what we've always talked about. I'm the dreamer, and then you're the ones that puts the brakes on and says, hold on.
Absolutely.
We got to check it all. And I'm like, no, let's go, let's jump. Even though I'm scared to jump from an airplane or something, but.
Even though you're scared of heights. She was not happy at where she was. She's very talented at what she does. She's very good. She has a real big following of clientele, and she was ready to kind of stop working for somebody else. Oh, absolutely.
They went out of business.
Oh, well, that's the story that we tell with TDBF, but in terms of how we started, you were the one that did not want to work for somebody else. You want to make your own path, be your master of your own destiny. I was the one sitting back looking at the numbers going, okay, if you don't get a paycheck anymore, how much I got to bring in to support this other business? And at the time, we didn't have any money. We were living paycheck to paycheck like most people do. That's why I'm saying our story, if you listen to it, you can probably find some similarities in your own story, because we were living paycheck to paycheck. We had 4 kids, we had, all these bills that we had to pay. And I had a wife that said she didn't want to work for nobody anymore. So me be the accountant brain that I am, I'm like, okay, so how long can we sustain this? We have a couple $1,000s in our savings account and that's it. How are we going to build a business? Yeah, it's terrifying. It's terrifying and exciting all at the same time. You get to be the master of your own destiny, but at the same time, you're going to be broke for a little while, and you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable for a while as an entrepreneur, because, you got to get out there and you got to grind it out. And that's the only way to do it. And that's what we had to do. With her business, we only had a couple $1,000s in the bank account in our savings, and it either worked or it was either sink or swim.
Bobby was totally freaking out about if we were going to be able to pay the rent, right, and do all this, because we had just had $2,000 in the bank, and I had to spend $600 on my first month's rent and $600 deposit to get into my new little showroom or what have you. And it was like, well, here we go, man, And luckily, we had vendors that stuck by our sides and gave us product. We used furniture from our garage, and we bought things off of Craigslist. And my husband was, I think he was a little bit reserved and scared, but it was like once we started going, people kind of really started looking for me, and then I think you started seeing, oh, she can do this, because it was kind of proof of concept. That's always how it is with you. I have to prove it to you, and then you let me run with it. So that was pretty interesting. So I think you were kind of along for the ride on that one. I think that you really, had to see it first, and then once you started your business, it was like, oh, she can do it, I can do it, for sure. Right,
and that's kind of why we're here today. Is because if we can do it, you can do it. And I really truly believe that. Now, I will say this: entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's not for everybody. Sometimes, we get fooled in this. You guys will go online and see some hustle porn, like, oh, you just do this and this and that. It's easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. But if you have the determination and the work ethic and the skills, it's absolutely something that you should do, because it equals freedom. It equals freedom of being your own boss. And at the same time, you're going to work twice as hard for yourself as you will for somebody else, especially early on, right? Early on, you really got to grind and put that time in, and there's no way around it.
I think for me, it was sink or swim. right? You really was like, it was like, I got to go get that next sale because I got to bring money in, right? It's one of those things where I've got to survive. And there, and if I already am an expert at what I'm doing and I'm comfortable and I'm good at what I do, then I'm going to go out and do it. And that's, you kind of have to believe in yourself, right? You got to be the first one to believe in yourself. And then just go out there and just start getting those jobs, grinding and not being afraid to ask for people's business. I mean, I remember going and knocking on a couple of designers' doors saying, hey, I just started my business, what's your next project that you're working on? Can I help you source any of the products or that kind of thing? And it let them know that, hey, I'm willing to work for you, right, and help you out. And in return, give me your business, and I'm gonna be your partner in this, and I'll come through for you, because so many times, you just really need somebody that's reliable on the other end of whatever you're purchasing or whatever you're working on, really. So I think that helps.
And remember when we first started, we were both kind of terrified and had no idea what to do, right? We were just like, okay, my wife wants to start a new business, but what do we do? How do we even go about starting that transition from being an employee? How do we even set up a business? So remember, we went to a place called SCORE. SCORE is a small business organization,
Mentorship.
And it's sponsored
by the SBA,
right?
Right?
SBA sponsored. And we went to SCORE, and we sat down with a mentor for probably about a month, right? We went to a
meetings for sure.
Couple meetings like in a month, right?
Yeah,
and
I think
they kind of gave us a blueprint on how to do it, because we had no idea. I knew that my wife was good at sales, and she had good taste, and she could probably sell it, but how do we structure a business? How do we open a bank account? What kind of business is going to be in a corporation, a sole proprietor, things like that you haven't even thought about when you're thinking about, going out there and starting your own business. SCORE was a great way for us to get some firsthand knowledge of how to do that.
Well, I think too, they had also said, they talked about business plans, and I was like, no, screw that. I'm not doing a business plan. I'm just going to run with it, because that's my personality. I'm going to run with it. I'm going to make it work, and that's that. You, on the other hand, were like, no, we need a business plan. So that's why we work, because you're structured, and you kind of keep me in line. You kind of keep the wheels from falling off, if you will. But once they gave me the confidence that I could do this, and you like, oh, okay, well, if they believe in her, then I guess I better too, right? As her husband, like, obviously you always do, but it was just that little push that we really needed to just feel like, wow, these are business owners, and they are telling me that I can do this. So guess what? I'm going to do it, and it was just, I'll always be grateful to those guys. They really are, they're really great at what they do, and they've helped a lot of people. I'm sure we're not the only ones. And that's kind of what we're kind of after, just kind of on a broader scale, if you will, right?
Absolutely. Well, the thing about SCORE, and what it did for me at least, is it kind of took the blinders off, right? Like, I wasn't so uneducated on how to do it.
Right.
Like, they kind of gave us a blueprint. Okay, do this, go get a bank account, do this. And from that education, it made it to me, somebody that's really risk averse, go, okay, I think these guys did it. Why can't we do it? Like, now they've given us a blueprint on how to do it. So I think, this is something that we can at least try, and, it's not so scary, for somebody like me, who's a bit conservative financially. I'm like, hey, this is something that we should try. The upside is way bigger than the downside. So let's give it a go, and then I had to have trust that, that my wife was
that I could sell.
Yeah, my wife was going to go out there and sell ice to an Eskimo, which she's very good at. But, and that was something that kind of kicked me in the butt and said, okay, you go do this, because this is a good opportunity sitting right in front of your face. You better take advantage of it.
Well, and I think also one of the other pluses is that you worked for a payroll company, right? And so you could do my payroll. You could figure out all the financial stuff that just makes my head go like boing, you know, like I don't want to deal with that part of the business. And that's why it worked really nicely for us, because you just came in and I just was like, here you go. Oh yeah, what's this thing called sales tax, right? Like you helped me figure out all of that stuff. And then we also aligned ourselves with, right, what's his name, the CPA guy? Oh God, the guy with the beard, the older guy.
Oh, Gus.
Yeah. So
Gus Gonzalez. Shout out to Gus.
Hey, Gus. So Gus really, you know, was kind of your mentor as well, and really mine, because we had no idea that we were going to get hit with a $25,000 tax bill our first year. We were like shitting, you know, bricks here.
That was an eye-opening
like,
experience, wasn't it?
Well, thank God we saved for a rainy day, right? It's one of the, anyway. But, so I think by us aligning ourselves with Gus, that kind of also quieted, you know, I've got somebody, you know, that I trust and has been doing this forever. And he, you know, we have a lot of mutual clients, and he really just helped you out too. And I mean, and we made us believe in ourselves too. You know, it was just kind of with that part, that financial part was taken care of for me, and that was a huge help.
Absolutely.
So.
Well, it's all, the devil's always in the details, right? There's always, you don't know what you don't know till you're faced with it, you know? Until it comes and kicks you in the ass, and you're like, oh, true. I better figure this out. So, you know, but speaking of the big tax bill, that's one of the reasons we ran down the very next day and incorporated.
We started off as a sole proprietor because your parents were sole proprietors in their dentistry business. And so we were like, okay, well, we'll just do that. And then you had no idea your wife was going to be a selling machine. And Absolutely. We had, you know, so we had to learn like, oh gosh, we're 12% for this and 12% for that. And we got to pay the man, you know, his 25% or what have you.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a whole different podcast on why you should incorporate, but maybe we'll get to that. But,
well, you know what it was? It was $800 and some to incorporate. So we were like, we'll hold off on that.
Yeah, but think about the $800 ain't really nothing if you think about the savings, right?
Hindsight's 2020, right?
Always, right.
So you don't really know until you know.
Always.
But it's a good, you know what? It's a good lesson. I'm thankful that we just didn't go out and spend the money we were making, right? That I think is key to any new business, is you've got to save.
Gotta have cash flow. Yeah, you got to have cash flow.
And I think, like you were saying, you know, what are some of the best, or questions, right? What's some of the best advice I've been given? And I think it was Tisa who said, you need to save everything that you make. And, you know, obviously, you know, you're going to spend where you need and things like that. But I always was so scared of losing all the money I was making. I'm not saying I was bringing in billions or anything like that, but it was a whole heck of a lot more money than you and I were ever used to seeing.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, we talk about that. We're like, oh my God, we have $10,000 or $5,000 in the bank. Holy shit. And then it was 10,000 and then it was 25,000 and then it just went up and we were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know, and we just had never had money like that in our accounts.
We never experienced anything like that because, you know, we were living, like I said, paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that, I mean, nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's, but, you know, once you change your cash flow situation, think about changing your tax plan as well, because you're not going to be running down to do your taxes on the first day the IRS opens up filings. You know, once you open your own business, you will need to wait, and you know, and it's like almost like we're on extension every year now, right? Before we'd run down there and try and get our refund, and now it's like, it's just, you know, it's always a painful day. So word to the wise, you know, that will change when you open your own business. You will not want to be running down to do your taxes anymore. Yeah, you know, you're always gonna. We want to be about even if you do it right with Uncle Sam.
I think, you know, that's you know, when we sit here and we talk about where we started and stuff, and it is remembering all of these little pieces that came together to build what we have today, and that's what's pretty cool, you know, because like I said, my mom was a single mom. My mom was on welfare. My mom didn't pay taxes. We didn't get, you know, nobody in my family knew anything like that, right? I didn't go to college. I also grew up Jehovah's Witness, so we weren't allowed to necessarily go to college, but it was just those things. And all I knew from watching my mother was I did not want to be like that. I did not want to live like paycheck to paycheck and, not have food. And I wanted to go out and buy things and have money to go do things. And so she taught me what not to do. And I think that was one key lesson for myself was what can I do, right? And what can I give to my kids, right? And so just now I'm going off the fucking kilter over here. And you
that's why it's a podcast. It's long form, babe. You can ramble as much as you want. It's a good teaser, for the first episode, which will be about tile designs by Fina. This young lady over here took a business, from nothing to basically a multi-million-dollar company. And it's all, and she's from Coachella. She grew up in the Coachella Valley, no college education, right? You were just talented, and you worked hard.
I don't know. I'm definitely a hard worker for sure. I've got grit, and I think that's what you need. I always have had that little burning flame in my belly, as you say. I'm always looking to do something, to create something, to make something. I love seeing our businesses grow. I like to crush the competition. It's just things like that. I'm very competitive, and so you just got to use your strengths for you, right? And don't concentrate on the weaknesses. I mean, they come up, and that's where my weaknesses are your strengths, and vice versa. I think so. Right. That's why we make a great team.
Absolutely. So episode 2 or episode 1 coming up. Tile Designs by Fina. We're gonna get into the weeds and give you her whole story on how we took nothing and made it into a lot of something, and it's a pretty cool story. So stay tuned. I hope to hear from you guys next time.
Yep, me too.